these NBA draft prospect shows is ask the host, the draft analyst, hey, who is a prospect that you are higher on than consensus? I'm really interested to dig into this one because I'm lower on this guy than consensus, and that is Big Johnny Davis, the 6'6" guard out of Wisconsin, 20 years of age. Nathan, why is he good?
There's a lot of reasons why he's good, Josh, but
Okay.
I just want to get into really the point that brings me back to everything else, which is I can't think of another player in this lottery grouping that we could talk about out of all the prospects that we could possibly talk about tonight who had a higher load to carry on both offense as well as defense, right? Like to be not only a 20 plus points per game scorer at the college level in the Big Ten, which is one of the best conferences in all of college basketball, he also had to go out there and guard the other team's best perimeter player every single night. So you throw in the fact that he had to do so much offensively to carry a team where he basically didn't have any other shooters around him. It was like Brad Davison and then whoever else they wanted to throw out there. And then defensively, just carrying so much responsibility, shows the playmaking flashes, the scoring flashes. I don't know how you can't like Johnny Davis, but I'm curious why you're lower on him than consensus.
Okay, so yes, he carried a huge load. 33% usage. He scored 20 points per game in 34 minutes. I just look at a player like that. Like I don't think he's never going to be asked to carry an offensive load like that, right? He's never going to
Yep.
be a 30% usage guy in the NBA. So I can throw out the volume stuff there a little bit. Rebounding, really, really good. Defensively, I get that. But you know, he only shot 31%, and I've heard this argument before. Shout out to Carson Edwards. Oh, he just had to do too much. He had to take all the tough shots. So that's why the shots didn't go in. Now, he actually is going to be a really good scorer and good shooter. And obviously, he wasn't. And he was not good at all. And that didn't carry him. Not to say that won't happen with Davis, but I have a little bit of skepticism about that. Oh, well, once he doesn't have this large load, then he'll just be this knockdown shooter and this great option. To me, he looks like a guy who could be Josh Hart. And there's nothing wrong with Josh Hart, but I don't think I want to spend a top 10 pick on someone like that who's going to be, to survive, have to be a lower usage offensive player. Not sure what the level of ball handling or pick and roll creation ability is going to be there. If he's going to be put into a situation where he's a spot up shooter, do they actually go in? Because again, we haven't seen it, and there might be reasons for that, but there also might not be. So I look at a guy that, hey, he had to carry so much, and so much volume was pumped into what he did, and that's not going to happen in the NBA. So I just don't see those roles being similar. Now, you could tell me you can see that translatability, and I'm here to listen, because my opinion on Davis is not particularly high at the moment. So what about what I said there where you go, Josh, you're an idiot? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what there was off, do you think, or you can convince me on?
So the thing you and I have an agreement on is the 3 point shooting. You mentioned how he did shoot a lower percentage than we like to see at the college level from the 3 point line. And I echo some of those sentiments. I think he's going to have to adjust to the NBA line his first few years. He might not be a 35% 3 point shooter, but there's nothing about his mechanics that tell me he can't get there. Everything else, though, once he gets a screen at the top of the floor, once he's able to kind of work his way downhill, get inside the arc, very underrated playmaker at Wisconsin. Some of the assist numbers might not reflect that, but you know, if you're looking for an assist, the other guys on the team have to hit the shot for that to actually
That is
count
true.
towards your stat line,
That is
right?
true.
So you go back and watch the film and some of the cross court passes, some of the things he did out of pick and roll in terms of passing. I think go back and watch some of that film. You might be a little surprised with some things that he showed there. The scoring, the pull up scoring, the maturity. I love when I can evaluate a guy and he can get to that 20 plus points per game mark and he doesn't have to do it taking 5, 6, 7, 8 3 point shots per game. The fact that he can do it, get to the line, rack up those points the old fashioned way shows a lot of craft that we don't usually see from prospects when they're coming out of college at this level. So those are some reasons why I still remain high on Johnny Davis. And we didn't touch on the defensive end that much either. I know I said that he had to go out there and guard the best perimeter matchup every single night, but really I think he might be undersold a little bit on that end of the floor. I projected him to be able to guard 1 through 3. I love the measurements that came in. He's near 6'6". I don't know, man. I love a lot of what I've seen from Johnny Davis. And you mentioned the volume stuff. Isn't that sort of a boon in his favor that he won't have to carry that much of a load? Like all we've seen him is that he's had to go out there and do every single thing for his team. When he's able to be like a third, fourth option, I think a lot of that volume is going to jump up in his favor, minus some of the 3 point stuff that I think will eventually get there.
Yeah, look, he's obviously not going to have the volume, and that could work out. It could also not. Like, to me, he's a player
Sure.
that's like the worry I have, I guess, is Dylan Brooks, right? A guy that thinks he should have 28% usage, but realistically should just shut up, sit in the corner, and exert your energy defensively. And Brooks does well defensively, and Davis could do that. But if Davis has the Brooks mentality of like, no, I'm the guy that needs to take all of these shots, even when I've got significantly better teammates around him, that is a real problem to me. And I worry a little bit about that, and I worry again, do I want to take Josh Hart, Dylan Brooks at pick 8 or pick 9? I don't know where you have him on your board, but I've seen people have him inside the top 10. And to me, like, I don't have him outside the top 20 or anything like that, but he's around that 14 to 15 or 14 to 16 sort of area to me. And I would have other guards ahead of him. How high are you? Like, in comparison to players around that area, guards around that top area where we're talking Sharp or Griffin, Daniels, Mathurin, with those players, where is he in comparison to them?
I have Davis at 6. So I would have Davis ahead of a number of those players. I guess I just believe in the not just the tough shot making ability, but also the playmaking off of it. I trust the decision making a lot more from, like you made the Dylan Brooks comparison. They are similar players in style, but I trust what Davis is going to do from a decision making perspective more than I do Brooks. And the Josh Hart comparison, there are some similarities there especially in terms of the rebounding for a guard. Like Josh Hart probably is the only other guard in the NBA who can compare on that front from a numbers perspective. But I remembered watching Josh Hart at Villanova. He didn't have the same scoring craft that Johnny Davis did at Villanova. The way that Davis can rise up over defenders and knock down some of those tough shots, some of the post game that he has. One of the reasons why I wanted to go watch Davis live in person was I wanted to see separation. Could he actually create shots that looked better in person to me than how tough I thought they were on film? He checked that box against the Rutgers defense. The Trapezoid of Terror, one of the toughest places to play in college, one of the better defensive teams in college. He checked those boxes for me. I love the separation that I saw. I thought he looked like a better athlete than he was given credit for. And then I already mentioned some of the defensive playmaking flashes. So just being a more complete guard than I think he was given credit for, that's why I'm valuing him so highly.
I'll tell you what you've done. You've convinced me to at least go back and relook at it and see if my opinion gets changed on Johnny Davis. So